So the Meta Quest 3 is one of those types of consoles that came out a little bit of time ago. And I wanted to go ahead and kind of showcase to everybody how this particular headset or console, whichever way you want to put it, how this thing basically holds up in 2025. The big thing I can definitely tell you is that, for one, I'm a big fan of the Meta Quest 3. I think the Meta Quest headsets are very, very good. And this was always something that I liked about Meta, that they kind of took a chance with some other types of devices, and it did actually kind of end up paying off. It took me a long time to get used to the Meta name now, but I think they did a really good job with it. And the Meta Quest 3 was a pretty good upgrade coming from the Quest 2. The Quest 2 was one of those types of devices which I thought it was a pretty big device, but it was so powerful. It got the Meta Quest and just VR headsets and AR headsets into a lot of people's hands. And that was something that was super, super nice to see. So that's kind of where we're at. We're going to get a Meta Quest 4. We're probably going to get we got the Meta Quest Pro still. So there's a lot of cool updates coming out for these type of consoles as well. So we'll kind of see what ends up happening here soon. But if you want to go ahead and pick up the Meta Quest, 3, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of these particular this headset. This console or this headset came out back in 2023. So it's quite a bit old now. It's definitely shown its age since then. So you're just going to have to kind of keep that in mind. And if you're trying to go through and pick up a device, it's definitely going to be showing its age for the most part. So I do think this is in and of itself one of those big key takeaway areas, because if you're wanting the better device here, then you're going to have to look at one of those other ones, because that one is, if you want a more expensive headset, the Apple Vision Pro or the Meta Quest Pro are going to be there for you. With this headset, you're getting dual LCD displays inside, which is always nice to see. You're also going to be able to go through and get these high resolution types of displays. So these things look very, very good. They're very, very premium. They definitely do give you a lot of capability there, which is something that's really awesome. And the displays themselves are really nice. They go up to 90 Hertz, but I guess they can go up to 120 Hertz in experimental phases as well, which is something else that's actually really cool. So there is still a lot of capability here for the most part within this type of headset, because it still holds up very well. I think, Meta did a really good job with this type of headset as well. So you're still getting quite a bit of a layout here. And I still think, I would say for the most part, this thing has held up very, very well for the most part. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, another very important thing to keep in mind here is that if you are trying to go through and pick up a headset, this thing is giving you a much nicer layout on the front side. It's giving you these cameras on the front, which is actually super, super cool to see. And that's something that I actually like a lot. But that's pretty much nothing compared to the capability behind this headset. The thing I really loved a lot about the Meta Quest 3 was that Meta basically went through and they downsized at least the weight of this headset coming from the previous generation. It was very, very hard of them, or very hard in general, for us to kind of continue to sell or make the Oculus Quest 2 or the Meta Quest 2, a part of our daily life, because it was just such a big, heavy, headset. But now with the Meta Quest 3, it's so much sleeker and it just makes so much more sense. This thing is way more lightweight, right? So in the hand, it doesn't feel as clunky, and in the real world, it doesn't feel as clunky either. And that's something that I actually like a lot about this type of device. Now, when you actually kind of think about what you can even do with this particular device, there is an endless amount of things you can do. There's games and applications that really take advantage of this whole entire VR AR type of display. And even if you do play some games, there is a lot of capability here behind it. And that's something that I actually like a lot. You can play games like Beat Saber. You can remote desktop into your types of machines. You can have your, window screen kind of display inside of your headset here, and you can get massive displays inside of this type of device. So that right there is another really cool thing that you have here. And because of the Snapdragon chipset that we're getting inside of it, it is actually a really big upgrade coming from the previous generation. It's faster, it's going to perform better, and there's more applications. It's just a better system, and it's more lightweight as well. So there is a lot to love about this type of device in and of itself, and that is something that I actually love a lot about this type of device when it comes down to it. Now, it's definitely not perfect by any means, but I still think for the most part, Meta did a really good job with this type of device, but it isn't perfect, and there's always going to be some downsides here and there. So number one, the battery life of these Meta Quest headsets, they're not really going to be the best. They might give you a couple of hours of runtime, but they're not necessarily going to be lasting for, hours and hours, and 5 to 10 hours. That's why most of the time you're probably going to have them plugged in and then you're going to be able to use the device that way. So that would kind of be maybe a little bit annoying. Like you're going to be getting like 2 to 3 hours of runtime on here, which some people might be okay with, but in other cases you might not be okay with it. So it's totally up to you on which way you kind of want to see it. So, and again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but that could be kind of an annoying thing depending on who you are. So in that particular situation, you're just going to have to kind of remember that. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, it isn't the biggest deal in the world, but once again, if you're trying to go through and get a device that might be, lasting longer in terms of battery life, that is kind of one of those things. Now, another thing that I did see compared to kind of some other types of headsets that are out there, one of the things that we did kind of see was that there's no eye tracking inside of this type of device. Compared to like other devices like the Apple Vision Pro and those ones, you do end up getting some sort of eye tracking. Unfortunately, with this one, you don't really get that. So that could be an annoying thing, maybe, but it's really up to you on how you kind of see it. Personally, for me, I think, I can be okay without eye tracking, but it is a really nice to have feature that you could end up getting inside of, other types of headsets. On top of that, this one, it can get a little bit expensive depending on what type of add-ons and what type of things you kind of throw into your headset. So depending on who you are, depending on what you add on and what you buy, you could end up spending maybe drastically a little bit more money inside of this type of device than, if you went through and, bought a different headset that maybe already came with some add-ons that you, personally prefer. So it really just depends on which way you kind of look at it again. Personally, for me, I think these things still do a pretty good job at most things that you'd end up throwing at it with, but that could be another one of those minor things that you'd end up seeing there in that particular situation as well. And because this thing is still made by Meta, some people might still have some sort of like disposition towards the Meta company. Maybe they don't like Meta that much. So that could be one reason why some people may not actually want to go ahead and buy something like a Meta Quest in this particular situation. And it just is going to come down to like the brand in and of itself. Some people may not like the brand. So again, just one of those minor, maybe small things to keep in mind there from that side as well. Now, ultimately, I will tell you, with the Meta Quest 3, I'm a fan of the Meta Quest 3, right? I like this console a lot. I think it is a really, really good device. Is it perfect? No. But I do think this is a really good system. It's going to be giving you a lot of capability. It's a really unique type of design. It's a really unique type of system. And you probably wouldn't even expect like how this thing even holds up in performance, because this thing performs really, really well. You'd be surprised. I do think everyone, whoever's owned this, one of these types of systems has honestly enjoyed it. And I genuinely do think that something like this is a very, very nice thing to buy. It's not perfect, but I do think if you're in the market and you're looking for a VR headset, this thing is very, decent. It's a good option. And I would honestly recommend people to buy this type of system when it came down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.